So I want to make a distinction between Pueblo County and Pueblo City. This is important because what is Pueblo law? What is U.S. law? What is Colorado law? These are terms. People use these words and they have meaning. And the people in power definitely have an understanding of what Pueblo City law is and what Pueblo County law is, because Pueblo City law is completely different than Pueblo County law. Pueblo County is an administrative unit of the state, and the city is its own organic, independent nation city kind of thing. So they're completely different. They're completely the opposite. In Pueblo County, there's Pueblo-West and Ryan, Colorado City, Boone, Avondale, and Vineland. All of them are under Pueblo County law. Under Pueblo City law is just Pueblo City. Pueblo City does not answer to Pueblo County law, and Pueblo County does not answer to Pueblo City law. They are two distinct. There's Pueblo County law and there's Pueblo City law, and they are completely two different jurisdictions. They do not cross paths for the most part. For the most part, what's in Pueblo City stays in Pueblo City, and what's out in Pueblo County or in Pueblo County, depending on your frame of reference, stays in Pueblo County. So Pueblo County and Pueblo City are two distinct governments, and they have three branches of governments apiece for both the county and the city. And they also have their own water and departments and commissioners, executive, legislator, police, jails, the mental services. They have redundant services for a lot of things. The county mostly uses the 10th judicial branch because that's the 10th judicial district is the judicial district for Pueblo County. It's the state. But Pueblo City actually has their own municipal judge. They got one judge, and they can actually hire and fire as many. This year, Pueblo County has a commissioner's race, District number 2, local Nate Grisham. Nate Grisham lives in District number 2. He doesn't know any of the people that are running. He'll probably throw his ballot away this year too, but like he does every year. But he does know Lori Winter and says that she has an ass that just won't quit. So perhaps riding on Lori Winter's coattails would get him up there in high places. He doesn't need to vote. He just needs to know whose ass to kiss, and it's an ass that just won't quit. So 3 folks spent $200 million versus 1 person spending $100 million. Who's got more power between the 3 county commissioners and the 1 mayor, or the city manager now, but will be the mayor? 1 person has $100 million to spend. 3 people have $200 million to spend. So divide that up. Each of the county commissioners have $66 million to spend, whereas the mayor has $100 million. The mayor's got more because he just won. Collectively, they spend $200 million. So in terms of soft power, not even looking at fascist power, the power to arrest, the monopoly of violence, who's got more cops and who's, who controls what area, which gangs control what area. I think the Pueblo-West has its own metropolitan district, but it's not a home rule city. So the county can go into Pueblo-West whenever the fuck they feel like it. And in fact, Pueblo-West might even pay for the sheriff's services or any of the other cities. Rye, Colorado City, Boone, Avondale, Vineland, they might just, pay the sheriff's deputies to come patrol their area instead of hiring their own police force. So just in terms of soft power, follow the money, follow the money. The 3 county commissioners have $200 million and the city has $100 million. So that's mostly going to be the mayor, but you have 7 city councilmen too. So that's 7, 1, I don't know, it depends on you. For sure, I think that they're term limited, but Sal actually doesn't have to step down. He could run for re-election, but he's stepping down. It allows an open seat, but the 3 county commissioners, those are the 3 kings. One of them is not running for office. Usually politicians, that's what they want. They want to get re-elected. So Terry Hart and Garrison Ortiz are the 2 last remaining county commissioners in Pueblo County after 2018, plus whoever gets elected. But Sal Pace is stepping down, so the person that gets elected would have to work with a man named Terry Hart, and then this very young, impressive, kind of a little smug man, boy, child, baby Garrison Ortiz. But that's, I don't know, that's going to change the dynamic of the court. So no more are we going to have this Pace, Hart, Ortiz court. It's going to be the Wiseman, Hart, Ortiz court, or it's going to be, the Swearingen, Ortiz. Depending on who you are, if you're doing okay, you can, did Democrat Sal Pace, did he do a good job as commissioner? He got all those 1A projects, right? So he brought in millions of dollars. he was going to use some of those 1A funds though for the minor league baseball team. So he wanted the legalization of marijuana. It's kind of a whore, actually. He was very thirsty to get in front of the camera. Sal Pace was the face of the legalization of marijuana movement for many articles and many of the media's cameras. So, but now there's no new marijuana money. No new marijuana money can happen now because there's a moratorium. So what, 20 folks got their Charlie and the Chocolate Factory golden tickets. They got their lottery tickets to get up out of poverty into wealth. All right, only 20 folks. I feel like everybody should benefit from the legalization of marijuana. So Mr. Marijuana has a moratorium on marijuana. That's a little weird. But Sal Pace, I think he's be a very close race. So no vote should be taken for granted. Both of these candidates, Chris Wiseman, Zach Swearingen, need to go out and shake hands for every hand that they shake at the vote. Go out and shake hands. It's going to be, they need to Operation Urgent Fury. So you got to, step up the game. It's the election day is 1 week away, the election month, right? You got a month to get your ballots mailed to you, and then you turn them in. So for the next month, people will be voting, turning their stuff in. They may wait to the last second. The longer you wait, the more power you have as a citizen, but don't wait too long. You could walk in the day of, and in Colorado, you have the same day registration. So it doesn't matter where you're at. You could register right where you're at, vote, and it's also, they mailed out to you. So it's very hard to not vote if you have to fight. If you're a the Sal Pace is, okay, he's good, bad, who knows, but he's stepping down. So actually I think that's a good legacy because he's opened the door for someone else to take over. Incumbents generally have the advantage. 95% of the time the incumbents will get right back in there. So since Sal Pace is the Democrat, Chris Wiseman is the Democrat, it looks like Chris Wiseman is going to win. There's only one person that could stop Chris Wiseman from taking over the county commissioner's seat. There was a controversy, which I think Chris Wiseman actually handled very well with the minor league baseball team. If you're going to develop Pueblo City or Pueblo County into this big, NBA, NFL team or the baseball, it should be major leagues, right? If you're going to invest in a baseball or basketball or football team, so moving the Oakland Raiders into Pueblo is going to make us all rich. Even that, a lot of people might be skeptical about that. But to say a minor league baseball team for Owls, the advantage is Chris Wiseman's only Swearingen. He's the underdog, unfortunately, which means that, he's the insurgent. So he's the one to root for. Typically, I am for the underdogs. The seat is Chris Wiseman's to lose. And Swearingen is a formidable candidate. So the Democratic seat is Wiseman's to lose. Sal Pace could help out. Sal Pace could endorse Wiseman, show Chris Wiseman the ropes, be nice about it. I don't know how the Democratic Party, they're both Democrats, but I don't know if they're like good friends or if they really think outside the box or if they're just a bunch of individuals. So Chris Wiseman should be at every county meeting up until the end. I think they meet like every other day. And so the election day, again, right, is just right around the corner. So I am for Chris Wiseman. He's not the lesser of the two evils. He actually wants to stop homelessness. So this is, let's talk a little bit about Chris Wiseman, okay? So Chris Wiseman, he's got an impressive resume. He's very credentialed. He's been working with this governor, that governor, Romer, and who the fuck ever, 70s, 80s, 90s. I would say that he's one of the good old boys. He goes to the Democrat Central Committee meeting. I'm sure he's been there a couple times, and he knows all the leading Democrats around here. But I think he's a little bit different in terms of he hasn't been the bully, he hasn't been shaking things up. So I think he's been very dutiful, and he's the Colorado State Fair is probably his biggest claim to fame. He's been running the thing. Well, how come they don't put it out in the damn country? I mean, it always clogs up Pueblo City, and it makes it congested. It's as a resident, I always hated the State Fair, but I've never been to the one, so I can't really say if it was good or bad. But that's his main claim to fame. He's been the lining of the Bessemer Disc, the San Luis Valley Water Protection Act, the Picket Wire National Forest transfer from the Department of Defense, principal state contract to the Colorado National Guard. So he's been has important jobs. He's had important. Wiseman has worked with the office of Colorado Governor Roy Romer. He was a community specialist under Colorado Governor Roy Romer. He was under the governor's marijuana working group. And again, like I said, I won't repeat all this. The lining of the Bessemer Ditch, he had something to do with the lining of the Bessemer Ditch. Water is very precious in Colorado, so that helps to protect the important Bessemer Ditch. the San Luis Valley Water Protection Act. I guess he helped get that passed. The Picket Wire National Forest transfer from the Department of Justice. There was some national forest that he was able to capture and get it into Colorado, Pueblo, I don't know, the principal state contract to the National Guard. So he's the person who signs the contract or principal state contact to the Colorado National Guard. So when he thinks that the National Guard needs to line up at the border, he's been in politics forever. He's got a ton of connections. He's been around power. He knows what power the commissioners wield. So he knows this and that about politics, and he's qualified. I think he's smart enough. He's a good old boy. He's a Democrat, which I think is to his advantage, and I like that. Well, just give it to the Democrat, of course. I would rather progressive Democrats over corporatists or regressives. We don't need no regressive motherfuckers. Regressive, oppressive. So fuck the regressive and the oppressive. But I'm just saying that Chris Wiseman's been to the caucuses. He's been to the local Democratic Central Committee. He's been there, and he hasn't been a bully. He hasn't been pushing everybody to do what he wants. If anything, he's been listening to what the commissioners have been saying. So now he gets a chance to bat. He gets a chance to step up to the plate. So I think that Swearingen is a formidable candidate. Wiseman, he's got to get his name, face, body symbol out there, and then when people see your name, it's got to be a few planks, but there are enough planks to get me to say that I would support a Chris Wiseman. I would vote for Chris Wiseman. I wouldn't hold my nose and do it. I would vote in favor of him. The main reason is the homelessness. He's got a comprehensive homelessness plan. So first of all, here's some of his other ideas. So Chris Wiseman would be a good county commissioner for Pueblo County because he would take the government to the people. He says he would hold he would have office hours. He would have he would have office hours in Pueblo, West Rye, Colorado City, Boone, Avondale, and Vineland. So he would actually have offices in the 6 cities that aren't the main city. Pueblo City is the capital, it's the main metropolis of Pueblo County. Pueblo West is up there. They're 30, 40,000 people compared to 107,000. But Rye, Colorado, stake in Colorado City just has barely 2,000, which I know because in order to become a home rule city, you have to have at least a population of 2,000 people, at least 2,000 people. So I think Colorado City would be the biggest out of the other ones. Rye, Boone, Avondale, and Vineland are smaller than Colorado City. So he's talking about putting office hours in these rural communities that might not even have a government or police force for themselves. So I think that's amazing. That's great. That's actually some nation building there. And that's a good way to get himself established. He's going to be a commissioner for the county, the 2nd district, but he's going to be a county commissioner for the entire county, not just the 2nd district. So that shows vision, that shows humbleness. He could just fight for district number 2, and that's all. Pueblo County District number 2. Let's put district number 2 first, right? America first, Pueblo first. District number 2 needs to be first. Wish he had more progressive planks. I had 20 progressive planks last year as a citizen. I'm not running it, but this is what I want my politicians to believe in. And so, I'm glad I made that list. I've evolved since then. I should actually repost it. But he wants to do a 5-year plan, so he wants to get Terry Hart and Garrison Ortiz, and he wants to come up with a 5-year plan. And since he'll be brand new blood, I think they should do 5-year plans. You should always do 5-year plans. It's a nice round number, right? We got 10 digits, so 5, 10. It's a good, right? Half of a decade. And they should have, probably a 10, 20, 40, 50, 100-year plan too. But let's get a 5-year plan in place. That sounds wonderful. He indicated that land is to be free, so perhaps the homesteaders or the developers. I hope he's talking about both the homesteaders and the developers, because homesteaders are developing too. They're developers too. So they should be freedom. They should. There's one plank where it's the quote, improve county efficiencies and customer care. This is especially true in working with developers to move the county forward by creating new infrastructure. Infrastructure is wonderful. What infrastructure are you talking about, though? Roads and bridges, telephone poles? What are you talking about? This is vital to the future development and growth of our county and our economic well-being. Fiber optics, pipelines. What are you talking about? Right? New infrastructure, new buildings, new gymnasiums, new hospitals. What new infrastructure are you talking about? So how I read that, working with developers to move the county forward, it's vital to the future development and growth of the county, our economic well-being, not just developers, like I said, homesteaders too. It almost seems like that's a shot at the planning and zoning. This is freedom. You want to use your land however you want to use your land and help people develop, or do you want to use planning and zoning to restrict people and try to think about classes? There's only rich, poor, maybe middle class, maybe super poor, homeless class, working poor. There's a working poor class. There's middle rich, upper rich. There's rich, right? The 1% rich, and then there's the 1/10 of 1% rich. So there's lots of ways you could divide class in America. If you just were to do a general rich, poor, middle class, and maybe even homeless, because there's a difference between being poor and homeless and being poor and living in a house. So Chris Wiseman is going to solve homelessness. And because he gives a shit about the homeless, I know he gives a shit about the poor, and he gives a shit about the working class. If you care about the least vulnerable, you're going to care about everybody up that ladder. So the fact that he's giving a shit about the entire county by putting these office hours into all these rural cities. Chris Wiseman has a comprehensive homelessness plan. He's going to attack homelessness. He's going to get everybody in the community together, and they're going to go after homelessness, kind of like how Garrison Ortiz rounded everybody up to fix the jailhouse problems, which, you should have just done a rehab. Just do rehab. Don't do any more jail. Jail is a bad philosophy. Don't be like Fremont County. Those fucking psychos, it just gives me the willies driving through Fremont County. It's a culture of death. So he's got 5 specific things he's going to do with the homeless in Pueblo County. Housing, right? All the homeless people need housing, and they need medical services and mental health services, addiction counseling, and services that lead to employment. So you have Chris Wiseman who's saying, no, not only do they need a house to live in, but they also need some medical services and mental health, addiction, and employment. They need jobs.